Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the show. This is Bridge the Gap with George Hernandez. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I went ahead and dissected 8 of the best lessons that I learned this year in 2025. This has been a year, dude. This is actually literally, I'm not even joking. This has been one of the, I can't even contemplate a word right now. This has been one of the toughest years of my life overall, and so many shifts, so many pivotal moments and definitive moments in my life that has changed the trajectory of it, changed the course of it, and I'm in Austin, it's crazy. I went through my journals, I went through all of my Notion documents, I've been reading more, I've been getting in the Word, and I've pulled out 8 lessons that I've learned this year that has changed the way that I think, my perspective, my mind, and I hope I can just help one person here. So let's get into it. Number 8. This one's obvious. Move from your hometown. I'm talking to you specifically. Since you've made this change, you've become more self-aware. The change that I'm making, or the change that I am alluding to, is you now have more confidence, more self-belief in yourself because you've made the changes that you wanted to make for a long period of time. And you put yourself onto a specific path, and you came to realize that you are capable, you are strong, you are confident, you are able to make this type of change that you've been yearning and desiring to make. And since you've made it, you've become more self-aware. And the fact that you've made this change is beautiful. It's exceptional. Not many people make it. Unfortunately, though, you'll come to realize the people around you haven't changed. This creates friction. And it may not affect you now, but after years of time while you grow, they still won't change. Now, everyone has their own free will. It's their decision to stay the same, and it's not your job to save or to help them. You can provide some perspective, but honestly, when you try to bend someone against your own will, they're under the same impression still. One of the pivotal reasons as to why I decided to move was I made this change in myself, and the world, aka strangers that I had barely known, recognized it in me more than the people that were in some ways you're told that they will love you unconditionally, and they'll recognize the changes that you've made in yourself, which it's kind of interesting thinking about it now. I'm just digging into it. If you want to make a change in yourself and you decide to make that change, and now you want to help other people make that type of change in themselves, if the people that are closest to you, the ones that you live with, don't see that in you, it creates this inner turmoil and this inner friction that, well, if my family or if the people that love me unconditionally, if the people that are closest to me and I live with don't see that in me or recognize it, how is it possible that I help somebody else? Anyway, that's just going on a tangent, which this is all very important, and this is all very fucking crucial because it's tough presenting yourself in a certain way, the way that you are, or the way that you want to claim yourself, only to be treated like the person that you were before you made the change. You've developed into more. You've learned more. You've experienced more. You've taken leaps of faith and made risks, but the people around you don't see your inner complexity of who you've become and what you had to endure. They see an old image of you, an image that they know, drawn up by the memories of you they're familiar with, like the time you put your hand into an anthill. They see little brother. They see little sister. And it doesn't even necessarily mean being the younger sibling. It also just means they have in their head a faint memory, a faint timeline of who you once were. And that's all that's drawn up inside of their head. Not everything that you've been through because you're the one that sits inside of yourself. They don't see who you are now. They see the picture that they've created inside of their head, which is what causes this friction all the time. Changing yourself is the first step. The next is to move from your environment, to preserve what traits, habits, and attitudes you've built and carry to the world, because the longer you settle, the more you acclimate to the behaviors of those around you, others you have no interest in becoming. The purpose of moving from your hometown is to finally settle into who you are, to find discomfort and to see how you would settle it, not how others around you would. Moving from your hometown is a definitive step into embracing who you're becoming, because nobody is there to pull you back from who you're meant to be. It's just you now. And there's no excuse. Yeah. Move from your hometown, man. Move from your hometown. I think you are forced by the circumstances and the events in front of you, where you have no other option but to trend inward, to digest, to sit with, to reflect on your time back at home, and to see your faults, to see the things that you made progress in, but more importantly, just to remind yourself of who you are and who you're going to become here. It creates a distance that is far needed, because it's lovely to have people around you at all times. But damn, is it liberating being on your own for once, where you don't need the responsibility or the accountability from others. You just come to find out what you're really made of. Move from your hometown, number 8. Number 7, this one's cool. So I made this change when I was 21 years old. I lost 63 pounds, changed the trajectory of my life forever, my attitude, my perspective, the way that I felt about the world. I was much more open and vocal about the change that I made. And I quickly realized upon making this change, losing the weight, having broad shoulders, having 6-pack abs, I learned that the gratification and the validation from others runs off and eventually means nothing. I learned the meaning of the change wasn't to be praised by others, but who I became in the process. Because for once, I actually felt proud of who I'd become. And when you become someone new, when you shift your identity from one place to another, you begin to see your old identity in others. And this is where purpose comes in, right? This is where your ultimate drive or urge or responsibility in life is to get people out of the shell that you were once inside of, to get people out of the cage that you were once inside of. I wanted to show someone one thing through the lens of my own eyes, that the change I've made is completely possible for you too, and that you have much more power over yourself to be able to make that change. So I'm sitting in breakfast. I go to a workout probably 2 weeks before I go to Austin, Texas. We work out upper body, do some pull-ups, we do some shoulder press. I show incline lateral raises. And afterwards we have breakfast. And this is a friend of mine that I talk to on the internet from time to time. We were very close in high school. And it is interesting being able to hang out with this guy and feel like nothing had changed. And it's so cool. It's so cool thinking about it now. But this specific person had made a life-changing transformation. He went from, I don't specifically remember, I don't remember if it was on the verge of 300 pounds, but he was 300 pounds. And he was already such a beautiful, gentle soul, a beautiful human. And it was amazing seeing the life on his face after he had lost all this weight. lost over like 60 to 100 pounds. And now this young man is just levitating and glowing and just full of life. And it's beautiful. And one of the things he said to me was just telling me how I helped him be more reflective, that he was listening to my videos and that he was watching YouTube videos, and that I had helped him read a little bit more because I just always kept talking about books. But he said something so beautiful as like I'm putting a New York steak inside of my mouth. And he just said it just so subtly. If you helped just one person improve, then you help the whole world become a better place. How often do we do that to ourselves? I can understand wholeheartedly where a father can come from, where his son is underneath a roof and is taken care of. His son is well clothed, has clothes on his back. His son has food in his mouth, has two parents that loves him wholeheartedly. And yet the father will still feel like he's not doing enough. The father will still feel as though something needs to be improved upon, that he needs to do more. And isn't that just amazing that in our emphasis and focus and attention to make something better, to provide more, we seemingly step away from the actual impact or the value or the meaning that we provide for others in just the basic actions that we do. My goal is to help people worldwide, similar to how I helped myself and make this change. But you sometimes got to sit with the victories of the one before the 100. Because in those tiny victories, in getting your little one to sleep on time, in getting the young kiddos home from school and eating dinner, in helping somebody online read a book every once in a while, and stepping out into nature and watching a sunset from time to time, or recollecting all their thoughts onto a piece of paper. You're fueled with that evidence that you've helped in the past and that there are more to help. Sometimes we don't recognize the amount of change that we've made in ourselves because we're so caught up in the position, in the place that we're trying to get to. And to whoever needs to hear this, you've already achieved goals that you said would make you happy. You've already helped people like you said you wanted to. You've already achieved goals that you said would make you happy. You've already helped people like you said you wanted to. You're doing much better than you may think. I love that one. I love that one a lot. It's just really getting you into the moment now. You don't arrive when you reach 10,000 people, because the whole purpose of this thing of trying to help 10,000 people is to help one fucking person. Help them shift their perspective. Help them improve upon themselves a little bit more. To show them and to make them feel that this is fucking possible. I can actually do this. Setting out your mind and your space and your attention and effort onto bigger is not bad. But sometimes you need to reduce the end result and the goal and the expectation. Reduce it so that way you're much more satisfied in pursuit of the big boy shit. Because when you diminish it, when you make it smaller, you actually feel that you're making some form of impact. You've already achieved goals that you said would make you happy. You've already helped people like you said you wanted to. Number 6. I love this one. We've got 15 minutes. I hope you work yourself to bits and pieces, struggling to stitch them back together. So that way you can understand it's not pushing and laboring yourself to the end of your days to make happen the outcome you desire. I hope you struggle so you will stand to appreciate in picking up your pieces the true pleasure, value, and meaning is who you become in the process of pursuing what you desire. So, a little backstory. I spent 18 months working on a personal brand on Twitter where every crevice, action, and limb in my body was oriented towards the success of it. I was the business, and the business was me. And through that time, while I was working on it, I'd much rather be laying in a hammock, reading some books, playing some video games, or playing with my camera. Unfortunately, it went sour. I burned myself out. 3 clients decided not to return for the next month. And it was back to square one. Get new clients. As if I didn't put myself through a fever dream, an exhaust pipe, to get those 3 in the first place. I had relinquished all my resources and energy to land them. I couldn't continue. Months later, I'm speaking to my best fucking friend, and he's talking about his process. He's training, he's stretching, he's sleeping, and how there's this cyclical process and that there's some joy in doing it daily where he knows what he needs to be doing on a regular. My brother is fucking dialed. And hearing about his efforts, his attachment to the process, his cyclical routine of doing the same things, eating the same food, and doing the same training sounded like pure heaven to me. When you're amid the process, you'd rather be out of it. But when you're out of it, you trade anything to be back in it. And the question arises, would you rather spend your life in a process of developing, refining, and improving towards a goal? Or would you rather spend your life out of a process and not work towards something meaningful by your own crafting? In some ways, I think we can cultivate a life where we're working towards a life we desire while present, grounded, and grateful for what we have, not in spite of what we don't have. This is something that praying and meditating and building a relationship with God and, going to church and journaling all helps me with. However, when we look back and we reflect on our life, what will we want to say? I'm glad I didn't make a dent. I'm glad I didn't start any trouble. I'm glad I didn't break any rules. I'm glad I didn't make any mistakes. I'm glad I didn't shovel shit down my mouth. Or would we prefer to say, I did stupid stuff. I made mistakes. I made a couple of dents and ate shit along the way. But I'm glad I did. Because if I could, I'd go back and do it all over again. Which tells me, when it's all said and done, you'll want to redo the process, not immerse yourself in all that you've attained. I hope you work yourself to bits and pieces, struggling to stitch them back together. So that way you can understand it's not pushing and laboring yourself to the end of your days to make happen the outcome you desire. I hope you struggle so you will stand to appreciate in picking up your own pieces the true pleasure, value, and meaning is who you become in the process of pursuing what you desire. The process is the reward, not the outcome for what gets you on the path towards it. Process is the reward, ladies and gentlemen. It will always be the reward. Number 5. I wrote this on my Substack newsletter in May. I don't remember specifically. In the Paleolithic era, our ancestors were solely focused on shelter, protection, food, and water. If you think about it, their purpose was to provide, to protect, and most importantly, to build. They built shelters. They discovered fire. They made something that wasn't originally on Earth, but because of their discovery, they brought it to Earth. Granted, all glory to God for the spawn point, but I digress. It's in our nature to provide and protect, but mostly to build. It's instinctual, primal, and a part of our human nature to build things that further advance the development and the progress of our world. Humans get bad rep for being foolish. Neanderthals. We're just humans. But we've somehow built ourselves to be so powerful with the introduction of social media and technology that it's made most of us largely obsolete. We're fucking powerful, dude. Humans are capable of moving mountains, getting spaceships on the moon, and building railroads for vehicles to drive across. But this all comes at a cost. This process of seeking to build, unfortunately, comes at the price of disassociating from your humanity itself right now. Look back at all the greats. Most of them couldn't tell you what happened at Barb's bar mitzvah, or Leslie's quinceañera, the function after the football game Friday night, or even the invitation to your boss's house on a Saturday evening. In the process of partaking the most instinctual human act, the act of building, you sacrifice the fulfillment of what makes you human. Less social life, less gatherings, no family time. It's all a means of letting go and to grasp something that's not yet in the scope of reality, but based on what you feel and think you can make this happen. This process will drain you. It can make you doubt, question your capacity, your skills, and judgments on whether you can or can't. But the moment you step back, the moment you inch back to society's norm, the more you'll feel like an outsider. Why? Because they are focused on living for a good time, not a long time. And there you go. Back to the crawl space, back to the morning runs, or the training that you want to avoid, but you know feels most right. Though it hurts, and it damages and feels like a spit to the face to your lived humanity, just remember, you're doing what you're designed to do. You've just a society that ostracizes the weird, different, goal-oriented, and obsessed individuals. You're not missing out on anything important. You're doing the thing that's most human, disassociating from society's lens of living. Be weird. Be eccentric. All right, this is fun. All right. I had been reflecting a lot on optimists, and I wrote down this piece. I just found it. I remember I wrote it on my 15-minute break at my old job. And I think it still holds true today. And I think something that I've learned from just reading this in and of itself is there's one specific trait that all optimists have, which we're going to get to. We need more optimists. We need more individuals that will not tolerate a cynical, lacking, lazy, dishonest mindset, but one who purely sees the rough present moment as a glaring future opportunity and believes it to their core. We need more optimists. Optimists don't just make the world go round, they place the world on a treadmill to ensure it spins. I like that. Optimists don't share insight from a depth of theory, but of lived experience because they once saw the rigid, raw, and impurity of the world and the world within them, yet still chose to see it with childlike, pure, rose-colored glasses. Because what does one get when viewing their future with cynicism, distraught, and fear? Yet what does one get when they perceive the world and their future with utmost respect, excitement, and uninsured optimism? You meet a person in the present moment who's captivated by the sense that they're onwards to a better future, grateful to be in the one they stand in today. Optimists aren't the happiest people. Optimists are the ones who refuse to let a sour taste in their mouths influence their perspective on what great blessings they share, which is the capacity to have a present moment, to have a future to build towards, and the privilege to tolerate today as a meaningful depth to add to the extravagant story that is theirs. Optimists run the future, not because they're pure, but because they can stand even the hardest jabs life throws at them with the uncanny belief that better is becoming. Which reminds me of that Romans chapter 8, verse 18. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. Nothing compares to the joy that's coming in the optimist's mind. Optimists aren't wistfully saying, be happy or life is amazing when life is going terribly. They simply don't let the mundane matter as much as the meaning behind their every choice. Because once again, this comes up. Your only freedom in this life is how you perceive the things that happen to you. Something bad happened to you, guess what? It is your choice to define how the situation goes. You can either label it as something negative, or you can frame it differently to be able to be motivated, to be able to change it. Your reaction, your perception, the way you understand things, or the way that you describe and define things that happen to you is your only freedom in this world. Optimists aren't avoiders, wistfully saying to be happy or portraying a wrong, unauthentic version of themselves, but are actually believing that things will get better regardless. Because what does one get when they believe it all to be getting worse? Disorder. Things don't get better when you apply a lens of disorder. How can things possibly get better if you're thinking it to only get worse? What you focus on expands. And if you're constantly planting the seed, watering it with negativity, you're only going to grow nothing of true fruit. And if you keep focusing on that, it's only going to expand and grow into worse. TLDR. Optimists share a trait that we can all keep with us, and that's to be grateful for what God has given us, life. Though things could be better, they could also be worse. Do not, for 1 second, mistake your blessings, because what may seem trivial, unimpressive, trash to you could very well be someone's desired treasure. Be grateful. Yeah. Be grateful. Gratitude has changed a lot of my perspective, and I think that's also just getting deeper into my faith has ultimately helped me become a much more grounded and grateful man. I thought I was much more virtuous back in the day just because I was working towards a specific endeavor, and I still had the mind frames and, this thing happening to me is just a problem, which means a problem is going to make me into a better person. But that was all performative. It was very performative. And now it's not necessarily coming from a fuel or a velocity or an exhaust of trying to prove to the world and trying to prove to myself, but one of, hopefully, by the grace of God, just more pure and more grateful and more proud and more loving. And yeah, gratitude has really got me through some shit this year. So, fuck. All right, just be more grateful, man. Just be more grateful. GLAD technique. Try the GLAD technique, which is a journal prompt. Write something that you're grateful for. Write something that you're learning. One accomplishment that you had for today, even if it's getting out of bed when you didn't want to. A delight. Look for the delights in the world. Did you say hi to a gentleman and he said hi back to you? Did you have a specific coffee that you just genuinely loved? Did you listen to a song that just hit different while you were driving down the road? Like, be grateful for your life, man. That shit fucking... Be grateful for your life. Life's good. I'm gonna... All right. Number 3. This one's good. I love this one. Picture this. Your house is burning down. The fire is burning through the terrain, creeping to the second flight of stairs, and the interior hallway has erupted into flames. You've got 3 minutes to exit the house before it collapses. What are you taking out? Do you go for your shoes? How about that new Moby Dick cover that you just bought? Or maybe your laptop with all your prized memories of the past. What do you choose? If you choose one, there's always the I could have chosen more. And if you choose too much, there will always be something you missed. Let's say you choose the one with the most value. Really. Whatever you can get your hands on in a matter of time before the house collapses. Okay? But choose too many items, be indecisive or picky about what you're taking out, and you've got a laundry basket of items that aren't necessary, not useful, and a load for you that may or may not get you out of the burning house in time. I think about this, and I think we all do this in every sense, but especially, I'm talking to myself here, we do this about purpose. We do this specifically about purpose in our life. Why is it that we try to bend over all of our passions and desires and best skills over to our specific target result, our perfect career, the thing that we want to do, the thing we're meant to do here on this planet Earth, and why is it that we try to bend over all our passions? That we can make it all fit together into this constructive screw and just drill bit it right into the wall. That you can fit filmmaking with podcasting. You can make short films while you're trying to be an online brand builder. You can do crocheting all full time while doing your job full time, while also trying to be a NASCAR driver full time, and becoming because these parts of us are all, so we may think, a part of who we are. Yet, trying to stretch ourselves thin to be all of the above, we end up becoming nothing. Why? Just like that burning house. In trying to take out all that we can, we don't even get out of the house in time. Which means the attempt to remove becomes the final memory. And I've been having the same insight time and time again because I've wrestled with my passions. I fought with my purpose. I kept trying to find it and claim it and become it. For example, I had a time when I quit altogether. I was done with YouTube. I was done with podcasting. And I decided to go back to school. Lo and behold, I find Substack. I drop out of school so I could go all into Substack. And then there came a time where I was trying to do Substack letters every day, trying to do YouTube podcasts, vlogs, shooting a short film while trying to write a book. Let me not get ahead of myself. I was going 4-5 different directions at once. Trying to grow on Substack, trying to grow on YouTube, trying to make more vlogs, trying to make a short film while trying to write a book. Can you guess the outcome? It's very easy. Guess. I burned out. We unfortunately live in a culture that admires hustle, that it's okay to work 7 hours a day or 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the great Carl Jung says, hurry is not of the devil, hurry is the devil. Stretching yourself thin isn't admirable. It's a cope to feeling inadequate. To do more must mean, I am worthy, I am valuable, I am capable. Look at all these things that I'm doing. Look at how many things I'm crossing off of the checklist. I must provide something to the world. I can't be an inadequate piece of shit because look at all that I'm doing. Look. The real lesson I've learned is that if you want to arrive at a destination, you go in one car to that destination. Not 4 separate cars in 4 directions. Because if you're to think about that equation, who's going to arrive to their destination faster? Think about that for a second. This is cool. So I've been reading 4,000 Weeks by Oliver Burkeman, and this has been one of the best books I've read all year. And he speaks about procrastination in such a fascinating way that I have not yet thought about it. We all have multiple interests that could take our time, attention, and focus for a great deal. He says, the real problem of time management today, though, isn't that we are bad at prioritizing the big rocks. It's that there are too many rocks, and most of them are never making it anywhere near that jar. Greg Krett puts it, we need to learn to get better at procrastinating. procrastination of some kind is inevitable. Indeed, at any given moment, you'll be procrastinating on almost everything. And by the end of your life, you'll have gotten around to doing virtually none of the things you theoretically could have done. So the point isn't to eradicate, to get rid of, to admonish, to destroy procrastination. Don't get rid of procrastination, but to choose more wisely what you're going to procrastinate on in order to focus on what matters most. The real measure of any time management technique is whether or not it helps you neglect the right things. However, the importance of the book is to realize we all have a limited amount of time on planet Earth. And to be able to do all that you want to do is useless, foolish, and impractical because you won't be able to do those things. If you choose to do one specific thing that you want to do in your entire life, you chose that for 80 years. Theoretically, you could have done a multitude of other different things. Understand, you have to procrastinate on the things that will take up your time. Okay? Because we have a finite amount of time on this earth. We're not guaranteed to be here tomorrow. We're not guaranteed to be here in 3 years. Because you'll be wasting time trying to make use of each. This is what I'm trying to get to. You're a finite human. You need to procrastinate on the things that don't matter. Why? Because you're wasting time trying to make use of each. Yet in trying to make use of each, you make use of none. You throw 10 darts at the board and you miss 0, or you hit none. The importance of this book and this whole lesson that I'm trying to hit to you is to understand what is good to procrastinate, which is what's going to hold you back from the real meaningful thing you're meant to do on this earth. The real measure of any time management technique is whether or not it helps you neglect the right things. I'll give you an example. I love the gym. Okay, there was a period of time where I was trying to become an online fitness coach. And I spent all of my time just researching, reading studies, programming my own body, bodybuilding, counting my calories, all of the above. But there came a point where I just had outgrown it. I wasn't going to go pro at this. So it was something I had to procrastinate doing because though I enjoyed it, it wasn't the big boy shit. I loved filmmaking. I watched 2 movies a day. I watched Interview of the Greats. I played with my camera frequently. But I had grown out of it. To go back to that version of me would admonish the person I'd become. Though I enjoy it, and though I know I'm pretty good at it, and though I know I can understand the psychology of what a director's trying to convey and what the writers are saying, but I know it's not the big boy shit. I know it's not going to serve me in trying to become someone I'm trying to become. These uses of my time would serve me if I delve deeper and put more attention onto it. But if I know it's not going to play a role in my larger push for glory, wealth, or brand building, or God, then it's all a waste of time, waste of effort, and a waste of energy, which would be a good reason to procrastinate on these. They're interesting, but they will not take up all my time because we got bigger fish to fry, which means, getting to it, the best thing you can do, pick one item out of the burning house that has the most precious value and make use of it to rebuild the collapsed house from ashes. The best thing you can do for yourself is to choose one vehicle, one destination, one skill, and to move forward with the knowing that if you don't stop, you'll arrive. TLDR. When you choose one vehicle, one path, one passion, and put your every emphasis onto it, something shifts. You see progress, possibility, and you persist to a level that you've not seen in yourself. And that level of persistence without confusion because you know where it's taking you is how you'll win. Choose one direction for 4 miles. Over 4 directions, 1 mile each. Banger. That one's my favorite. I think that's like, all right, these are getting good. Top 2. We're almost there. I'm not even going to say the title of this one. So, A round of applause to my friend who recently got a supervisor position, which opened up the gateways for me to apply, put effort, and or work towards the position that she was leaving, which was a leadership position, something that I had been fighting for a long period of time. At this time, however, I had put my 1 month notice already to come to Austin, Texas. So to conduct myself, to apply myself to get that position wasn't necessarily something I wanted to do within that time frame, because I already knew I was going to get out of it. So there was not much of a point to try, which I was in a different mind space back then. And the swirling thoughts of maybe I should stay. I can add this to my resume, make even more money than I'm making right now. Oh, man. That was on the table, even though I was already convicted out that I would be going to Austin at that time. But let's say I don't have the apartment in Austin, that I haven't gotten the insurance ahead of time, that I haven't purchased the seminar ticket in downtown already. Would I have given moving to Austin a delay? Maybe. That's really valid. Then I thought back again. Well, why do I want to go to Austin? This was during the time where she had gotten the position. Shout out her, applaud. She had gotten the position, and I can go and try and get that position. I'm thinking to myself, like, why do I even want to go to Austin? And then it hits me. There's a specific time frame where I traveled for work. We arrived in Indiana, and I saw nothing but green. And my nervous system felt calm. I felt happier. And I just thought, like, this is experiencing life, like stepping out of your shell, like getting out. And then I come back to California. And when we landed in Indiana, it was nothing but green looking out the window. We're coming back to California, and I can hear the pilot. We're arriving in Ontario in T-minus 5 minutes. Stay in your seatbelts. I look out the window, and it's nothing but dirt and gravel, and it's hot. And in that moment, I thought to myself, I'm stepping into a place that I can't grow anymore. I'm excited to be my own. I'm excited to be on my own. I'm excited to experience a new version of myself, hoping to get away from this environment and to go somewhere else where I know and feel convicted that my people are here. If we play out the thought experiment of me getting this position, that's just me thinking, why would I want to go to Austin, right? But let's say I don't decide to go to Austin, and I have these internal thoughts of knowing that I should be there, but I don't decide to go because I just, resume, money, this, that. All right. If we play out this thought experiment of me getting this position, how long would it have taken me to get tired of it? A few weeks, maybe less. Because that money that I would have made would have dropped me back to normal after a couple weeks. I return back to baseline after the checks are hitting different. Tired of the new responsibilities and stretching myself thin again, only to want more for myself. Wishing I would have made the move to Austin instead. So yeah, I could have gotten that position. Maybe not. Maybe my manager was pissed off at me. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe I wasn't even suited for the position anymore. Would that have been worth it? Because what if I didn't even get it? I don't think so. I don't think it would have been worth it. And during that time, people are getting promoted. Things are shifting in the business. This sense came up that I'd be missing out or losing something, which, yeah, I would be losing something. I would be missing something. Because anytime you decide to make one decision, you miss out on 1,000 other possibilities. So yes, the job sounds nice. Yes, it would look great on my resume. Yes, I can stick around the peers that I fucking love. But believing in myself has a much larger payoff, even if I fail. The potential for excellence has a higher payoff than great at the mundane, mediocre, average, and regular, which would be to conform. Conforming guarantees you don't exceed to greatness. Risking guarantees nothing, but you're more likely to hit it big by risking something of value than shedding your authenticity for a high-paying job that calls for you to conform rather than embrace who you actually are. Conforming guarantees you don't exceed to the level of greatness you expect of yourself. Risking, like consistency, guarantees nothing. Just because you're consistent doesn't mean you're going to hit it big. But if you don't remain consistent, you're guaranteeing that you won't hit it big. You're more likely to attain glory at the end for risking something of value rather than conforming to the level others expect of you. A high-paying job that calls for you to place a mask over your face can pay millions, but you'll still feel empty inside, wishing you can make nothing, being freely you. And unfortunately, someone who's wired like me, like, why I gotta be wired this way, or why do we have to be wired this way, because if you're listening to this, you probably think the same way. Why do we gotta think? Why can't we, obviously I'm just joking. I love who I am, but this is the approach that we need to take throughout life, Because I'd rather take the latter approach. I'd rather be making nothing and feeling free, which I'm making nothing right now, but I'm free. And you know what? Sometimes it's a little sad, but other times I'm grateful to be here wholeheartedly. And honestly, by this action, quitting my job, saying goodbye to my family, and packing my bags for Austin is literal proof that I believe in myself because I'm actually doing the fucking thing. I'm actually moving and choosing my own free will, my own inner complexity, my own inner conviction and belief that it will go right regardless of all the meandering, cynical takes that I hear from others that it could go wrong. I wouldn't bet against me. TLDR, and this is lesson number 2. Choose conviction, not conformity. This one's fire, bro. I love this. Oh, this is the last one. We got 10 minutes. Let's fucking go. Let's kill it. Sorry about the cussing. I'm trying to get better. All right. We're not going to say it. All right. Let's go. Okay. This one's good. This is my favorite one just because it's probably the one that's just hit me the most. In 2024, I had to close up shop. No more growth guru, no more fitness coach or copywriter. It was time to go back to normal life. Entrepreneurship is fascinating because if you're getting better, so is the brand. But if you're not getting better, the brand is going to show you that you're not. And the truth is, my identity was the personal brand. I already mentioned this. I was the business and the business was me. Coming back to scheduled shifts, 8-hour days, and being forced to be somewhere I didn't want to be felt like hell. How does one go from creating his own schedule, being his own boss, and making money from a Wi-Fi connection and a computer, to telling an associate why they shouldn't be standing on a pallet? It was hell. 360 that I wasn't ready for. Failure in my head at that time was real. But this isn't new, right? It's the old testimony of people who sell their business and have midlife crises because they got the check and now they don't know what to do with their lives. Why? Because their identity was tied to it. And without it, they don't know who they are. And I'm going to provide you a story. In 2009, Amazon bought Zappos for $1.2 billion. Tony Aish, the CEO, struck big. Billionaire, culture icon. But that was an outside external look on what this man was. The inside, however, was another story. Because Tony admitted he felt lonely, he lost his routine, and didn't know what he was working towards anymore. So to make up for the quiet time, he chased stimulation. Not because this was a reckless attempt to find meaning, but because it's the closest thing to feeling alive again. To grasp onto something you missed out on in pursuit of, right? Throughout our time trying to build something, you have to disassociate from what makes you human. So when you now lost that thing that you put all of your emphasis, crevice, limb, every action into, well, you need to pull back the curtains a little bit and hold and grasp onto life, which looks like stimulation, which looks like girls, which looks like drugs, which look like meaning, those kinds of things. Unfortunately, Tony turned to drugs. He became isolated and lost a healthy structure entirely. And those closest to him said the company was the thing holding him together. Without the company, his internal order collapsed. 11 years after the large paycheck, Tony tragically died at age 46 after a house fire. When a man loses his perceived value in the world, all hell can break loose. When you have no reason to wake up, no structure vanishing after years of certainty, and no real mission in pursuit or to pursue, all hell breaks loose. Tony A. sold Zappos for $1.2 billion and slowly lost the one thing money couldn't replace: a reason to wake up and fight for something bigger than himself. And in a smaller way, nowhere near to the level at which he had to deal with. And it's a tragedy for someone to have to lose their life in that sense. But in a similar way, very small in comparison, I experienced the same thing. Life got quiet. Not bad quiet, I finally had finances again. I wasn't worried about credit card debt. I could cut my hair again. I didn't have to walk to Planet Fitness anymore because I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to afford gas. And the only time I needed gas was to actually go somewhere else. I wasn't drowning, drowning wasn't the issue anymore. But the quiet felt like I was losing, wasting my time, that I had no purpose, and that I was making no use out of myself. So what did I do with that empty time? I tried to copy and paste my previous life over to my new one. So I would wake up at 6 a.m. I would write. I would engage on Twitter because I had to hold my audience. I would research podcast episodes and topics. The outcome was more harm than good. I started binge eating. I started doom scrolling. I started losing myself. Until I realized something. Why am I trying to give myself noise and stimulation? And perhaps God is trying to ask me not to hustle, but to sit in this discomfort. So I did. I started going to church. I went on vacation for the first time in like a decade. And I let go of YouTube and decided, you know what? I'm just going to start writing, probably go to school and learn about psychology. Kept lifting, started running, started meeting new people. The people at my job were fucking amazing and they're great people. And I realized something. I only felt worthless when I wasn't producing and giving to the world. And Dallas Willard says, desire is infinite, partly because we were made by God, made for God, made to need God, and made to run on God. We can be satisfied only by the one who is infinite, eternal, and able to supply all our needs. We are only at home in God. When we fall away from God, the desire for the infinite remains, but it is displaced upon things that will certainly lead to destruction. My desires were outcomes I thought can fulfill infinity like God does, which was why I was lacking. Each of us has a God-shaped hole inside of us, and nothing on this world can fulfill infinity like God does. And it's interesting, my only lens, my only purpose, my only goal was this business, this personal brand on Twitter. But when I think back and reflect on it, when you put your lens onto what the world has to offer, you're giving it power to destroy you. And desires aren't meant to be chased if it comes at the expense of losing you. The purpose of your desires is to improve yourself, the world around you, to build character, and not lose yourself in pursuit of them. And though it hurt like hell, it made me realize this profound lesson. The last and most important. Number 1, what you chase can and will abandon you. God, on the other hand, won't ever abandon you. God bless you all. To everyone that's listening, I appreciate every single one of you. All your support is extremely meaningful to me throughout this time period. I'm the loneliest I've ever been, but I look at it with gratitude and an optimistic sort of lens. Fuck, what a year, bro. What a year. What a year, bro. Like, what? Was 2025 like that for everyone else too? What a year. Just wow. What a fucking year. It's crazy. All right. Anyways. This has been Bridge the Gap with George Hernandez. Thank you guys so much once again for tuning in. Thank you guys for all of your insights, your messages, your meaningful texts. They mean so much more than you may think. And it's like an extra fuel. And I'm very grateful. Yeah. God bless you all. Take care, and I hope you have a fantastic night.